I need to tell you about April of 1865, about fog that came from nowhere, about men who rode into it and never came back. My name is Thomas Mercer, was Thomas Mercer. I do not know what I am anymore. But in April of 1865, I was a private in the Army of Northern Virginia. Virginia Infantry, or what was left of it. The war was over. We knew it, even if nobody was to say it out loud. Lee had surrendered at Appomattox on the 9th. Word spread fast. Some men wept. Some just sat down and said nothing. I ran. I know how that sounds. Desertion, cowardice. Maybe it was. But I would been fighting for 4 years. 4 years of watching men I grew up with get torn apart. 4 years of sleeping in mud and eating whatever did not crawl away first. 4 years of killing boys who looked just like my little brother. So when I heard Lee had surrendered, I did not wait for orders. I took my horse and I rode west, away from the armies, away from the surrender. I just wanted to go home. Home. I had not seen it since 1861. 4 years. My mother's letters stopped coming in 63. No idea if she was still alive. If the farm was still standing. If there was anything left to go back to. But it was the only thought I could hold on to. Go home. Just get home. I passed other men on the roads, deserters like me. Some still in uniform, some already wearing whatever civilian clothes they would manage to scavenge. We did not talk, just nodded and kept moving. Everyone heading in different directions. Everyone running from the same thing. I made it as far as Nottoway County, maybe 30 miles from Appomattox. There was a creek there, hidden in a stand of pine trees. Good water. Nobody around for miles. I would been riding for 2 days straight. The horse needed rest. I needed rest. That is where I was when I saw them. 17 men. I counted them 3 times to be sure. 17 riders in Confederate gray, moving in formation like they were still on campaign. Like the war was not over. Like Lee had not surrendered. I stayed hidden in the pines. Watched them through the branches. They were heading west, same direction I would been going, but something about them felt wrong. The way they rode, too perfect, too synchronized, like they were on parade instead of riding through hostile territory. And they were not talking. That is what got to me first. 17 men riding together, and not one voice, no conversation, no orders being called out, not even the normal sounds of men on horseback, no coughing, no shifting in saddles, no cursing at a stubborn horse, just the sound of hoofbeats, perfectly timed. Like one horse with 17 riders instead of 17 separate animals. Their officer was in front, captain's bars on his collar. Could not see his face from where I was hiding, but could see his posture, straight-backed, rigid, like a man made of wood instead of flesh. He stopped, maybe 50 yards from my position. Right there in the middle of the road, just stopped. No reason I could see. The captain raised one hand. The column halted. That is when I noticed the fog. It was not there before. I was certain of that. I would been watching that stretch of road for the better part of an hour. Clear Virginia sky, April warmth in the air, no sign of weather changing. But now there was fog. It came from the west, rolling towards them like something alive, grey-white, thick, the kind of fog you get on coastal mornings, not inland Virginia in April, the kind that swallows sound, but it was more than that. The color was wrong, not quite grey, not quite white, something in between, and it had texture. I know how that sounds. Fog does not have texture, but this did, like you could reach out and touch it, like it would feel solid under your fingers. And the smell, I caught it even from where I was hiding. Metal, old metal, like licking a penny, like blood. The horses noticed it first, started shifting, tossing their heads. You could hear the leather creaking as they tried to back up, but the riders held them steady, forced them to stay. The captain turned in his saddle, said something to his men. I could not hear the words. The fog was still, maybe 30 yards away, but already the sound was different, muffled, like someone had put cotton in my ears. Then he turned back, faced the fog, and he gave the order to advance. I watched 17 men ride straight into that fog, watched them disappear one by one. The captain first, then the rider behind him, then the next. Like they were riding off the edge of the world. The last man hesitated. I saw it. His horse was dancing sideways, fighting the reins. He looked back over his shoulder. I saw his face for just a moment. Young, maybe 18, terrified. But he spurred his horse forward anyway, into the fog, and then he was gone. The fog stayed there for maybe 10 seconds after the last man vanished, just sitting on that stretch of road, perfectly still, no wind moving it, no morning sun burning it off, just there. Then it pulled back, not slowly, not the way fog usually dissipates. It pulled back like something had called it home, withdrew into itself, rolled back west, the same way it had come, and the road was empty. I waited in those pines for 3 hours, did not move, barely breathed, kept thinking they would come riding back out, that they would made it through to whatever was on the other side. They did not. When I finally got the courage to move, I rode out to where they would enter the fog, studied the road. The ground was soft there. Spring rain had left it churned to mud. There should have been hoofprints, 7 keen horses, all carrying men and gear, should have left tracks you could follow for miles. There were tracks leading up to that spot, clear as day. I could see where the column had halted, where the horses had shifted nervously, every print accounted for, but past that point, nothing. The road was smooth, untouched, like nobody had ridden there in weeks. I got down from my horse, walked the edge of where the tracks ended. It was a perfect line. On one side, churned mud with clear hoofprints. On the other, smooth ground, like it had been swept clean. Not even a pebble disturbed. I knelt down, touched the smooth ground with my hand. It was warm, not hot, just warm. Like something had been pressed against it, like heat from a forge, but fading, I checked for a half-mile in every direction, looking for where they might have turned off. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe they would double back somehow. Maybe I would blinked and missed them leaving the road. But there was nothing. Just that one stretch of road where the tracks ended, where 17 men had ridden to fog and vanished. I should have left then, should have gotten on my horse and ridden as far as I could in the opposite direction. That is what a smart man would have done. I stayed. I do not know why. Curiosity maybe, or guilt. I would deserted my unit, left men I'd fought beside for 4 years, and here were 17 soldiers who'd stayed. Who would kept formation even after Lee surrendered. Maybe I wanted to understand what happened to them. Maybe I felt like I owed them that much. I made camp in the pines, close enough to watch the road, far enough to run if I needed to, tied my horse where I could reach her quick, built small fire, waited. Nothing happened the first night, just normal sounds, crickets, night birds, wind through the trees. I barely slept, kept jerking awake at every crack of a branch, every rustle of leaves. The second day was worse, the waiting, the silence. Oh, I sat there watching that empty road, and I started to wonder if I would imagine to the whole thing, if maybe 4 years of war have finally broken something in my head, if maybe I was sitting in these woods watching for ghosts that never existed, but I had not imagined it. I knew that. The hoofprints were real. The place where they stopped was real. The fog was real. The fog came back on the third night. Same place. Same time, near dusk, when the light was starting to fade. I watched it roll in from the west, slower this time, like it was searching for something. I should mention something about that fog, the way it moved. Fog does not move like that. Not natural fog. Natural fog drifts. It follows wind. It settles in low places and burns off in sunlight. This fog had purpose. It moved like something hunting. It stopped right where the patrol had vanished, spread out maybe 20 yards in each direction, and then it just sat there, waiting. I watched it for an hour, maybe 2, lost track of time. The fog did not change, did not move, just waited there on that stretch of road, like an open mouth. Then I heard the hoofbeats, coming from the east, multiple horses, moving fast. I could not see them yet, but I could hear them getting closer. The sound of iron shoes on hard-packed road, the jingle of cack, men's voices. More soldiers had to be. I pressed myself against a pine trunk, made myself small, watched the road. They came into view, maybe 5 minutes later. Union cavalry, a dozen men in blue, riding hard like they were chasing something or running from something. Their sergeant called a halt about 100 yards from the fog. I could see him better than I would seen the Confederate captain. Older man, withered face, the kind of face you get from 20 years of cavalry service. He was staring at the fog. I watched him dismount, walked toward it on foot. His hand was on his pistol, but he did not draw, just approached it slow, cautious. He got within maybe 10 feet, stopped. I saw his mouth move, saying something to his men, could not hear the words. Then he reached out one hand toward the fog, like he was going to touch it. The fog surged forward, not fast, not like an attack. It moved, like water finding a crack, flowed toward him, wrapped around his extended hand. He jerked back, shouted something. His men started forward, but he held up his other hand, stopping them, keeping them back. I watched him stare at his hand, the one that had touched the fog. He turned it over, looked at the palm, the back, like he was checking for something, damage maybe, or marks. Then he walked back to his horse, mounted up, said something to his men. They turned their horses around, rode back the way they would come, fast, like something was chasing them. The fog pulled back after they left, same as before, withdrew west, left the road empty. I stayed in those pines for 11 days, watching, waiting, trying to understand. The fog came back 7 more times, always the same place, always near dusk. Sometimes it stayed for hours, sometimes just minutes. Riders came through 3 more times, 2 Confederate patrols, 1 Union detachment, different men each time, different units. None of them rode into the fog. After that first patrol, nobody was stupid enough to try. They saw it, stopped, turned around, rode away, except 1 man, 8th night, a single rider, Confederate. No uniform anymore, just civilian clothes. But I could tell by the way he sat his horse, by the way he moved. Military bearing. You do not lose that, even when you take off the uniform. He rode right up to the fog, dismounted, stood there looking at it. I was close enough to see his face, young, maybe 25, but his eyes looked older, like he would seen things that aged him. He tied his horse to a tree, walked right up to the edge of the fog, and he spoke to it. I could not hear what he said. The fog was already muffling sound, but I saw his mouth moving, saw him talking to that wall of grey-white like it was a person, like it could understand him. The fog responded. I watched it change, watched shapes form inside it, human shapes, moving, walking. I could not see details, just silhouettes, shadows inside the fog. The man stepped back, but he did not run. He stood there watching those shapes move. And then he did something that still makes my hands shake when I think about it. He walked into the fog, did not hesitate, did not look back, just walked straight in, like he was entering a building, like it was the most natural thing in the world. I waited for him to come back out, waited all night. The fog stayed until dawn. First time it had done that, first time it had remained past dark. When the sun came up, the fog pulled back, left the road empty. The man's horse was still tied to the tree, still saddled, but the man never came out. I left that day, finally got the sense to run. Rode west, put as much distance between myself and that road as I could. Made it to North Carolina, then Tennessee, kept riding until I hit the Mississippi. put the war and the fog and those vanished men behind me. Or I thought I did. The dreams started about a month later. Same dream every night. I am back on that road, back in the pines, watching the fog. But in the dream, I can see inside it, can see what is in there. The men are still there, all of them. The first patrol, the man who walked in, others I did not see enter. They are riding in formation, perfect formation, same as they were when they entered, but they are not going anywhere. They are just riding through nothing, through grey, forever. The captain is still in front, still sitting straight-backed and rigid, but his face, I can see his face in the dreams. His eyes are open, but there is nothing behind them. Like somebody scooped out everything that made him a person and left just the shell, and they are aging. That is the part that makes me wake up gasping. They are aging, but not dying. I can see it happening in the dream. Watch their skin wrinkle and sag. Watch their hair turn white. Watch their bodies curl and shrink. But they keep riding. Keep sitting those horses. Keep moving through grey nothing. The youngest one, the boy who looked back. In the dream, he is not young anymore. He is ancient, but still 18. Still has that baby face, just covered in lines so deep they look like cracks in porcelain. Sometimes in the dreams, he turns and looks at me, looks right at me through the fog, and he mouths words, same words every time. You were supposed to come too. I wake up then, always wake up at that part, and I check my hands, looking for marks, for any sign that the fog touched me. There is nothing there. My hands look normal. Same rough skin, same old scars from 4 years of war. But sometimes, when the light hits them just right, I see something, a shimmer, like looking at heat rising off summer road. The one moment, gone the next. I am in Missouri now. Been here 3 years. Found work on a ranch. Good work, honest work. Nobody asks about the war. Nobody cares where I came from. The ranch is near the Kansas border. Wide open country. You can see for miles in every direction. I told myself that is why I picked it. Good land, good water, good work. But the truth is, I picked it because there is nowhere for fog to hide. No valleys where it can gather. No rivers where it can form on cold mornings. Just flat prairie and sky. For 2 years, that worked. No fog, no dreams. I almost started believing I would outrun it. That distance was enough. That the fog was tied to that road in Virginia and could not follow me west. I was wrong. But last week, I saw fog rolling in from the west. Normal fog, spring weather, happens all the time here. I still cannot make myself ride through it, and yesterday I met a man in town. Old cavalry sergeant, Union, said he served in Virginia during the last days of the war. Said he remembered a strange encounter, fog that appeared from nowhere, a patrol that vanished. He asked if I would ever heard anything like that. Said he would been trying to find answers for 3 years. said he touched the fog once, just reached out and touched it, just for a second. He showed me his hand. The one that touched it looked normal to me, but he said sometimes, when the light hits it right, he sees something, a shimmer, like heat rising off a summer road. I told him I had not heard anything about it, told him it sounded like a tall tale, wished him luck finding his answers. But I lied. I know what happened to those 17 men. I know where they went. And I know they are still there, still riding through that grey nothing, still in formation, still following their captain into fog that never ends. Sometimes I wonder if I am supposed to join them, if that is why the dreams will not stop, if that is why I see the shimmer on my hands. Maybe I was meant to ride into that fog with them. Maybe desertion is not something you escape. Maybe it follows you. I have not seen the fog since Virginia. Not the real fog, not the kind that takes men. But I know it is out there, waiting, patient, and I know someday it is going to find me again. When it does, I will not run. I am tired of running, tired of the dreams, tired of waking up at 3 a.m. checking my hands for marks that may or may not be there. When it comes, I will do what those 17 men did, what that man in civilian clothes did, what maybe I should have done back in April of 1865. I will ride straight in, and I will finally understand where they went, what they saw, why none of them ever came back. Part of me is afraid of that moment. Part of me cannot wait for it to arrive. But mostly, I am just tired. Tired of carrying this. Tired of being the only one who knows. Tired of wondering if I am slowly losing my mind, or if something really did happen on that road in Virginia. 3 nights ago, I woke up and my horse was gone from a barn. Found her standing in the middle of the pasture, facing west, just standing there, staring at nothing I could see. When I led her back to the barn, I checked her hooves, found mud on them, Nottoway County mud. I would know that red clay anywhere, but I have not been to Virginia in 3 years, and neither has she. The fog is coming. I can feel it, getting closer, taking its time, and when it arrives, I will finally get my answers. I will finally know what happened to those 17 men, to that captain with the empty eyes, to the boy who looked back one last time before riding into grey. I just hope when I find out, I still remember how to tell someone about it. I hope there is enough of me left to warn the next person who sees fog rolling in from nowhere, the next deserter hiding in the pines, the next soldier trying to escape a war that will not let go. But I do not think there will be. I do not think anyone who enters that fog comes back whole, or at all. I think they just ride, forever, through nothing, following orders that do not make sense anymore. In a war that never really ended, not for them, not for me, maybe not for any of us. The fog remembers, even when we forget, and it always collects what it is owed.